Okay, so welcome to this third and final of 3 WordPress webinars with the one and only Krystal Knapp, editor and publisher of Planet Princeton, and RJI fellow. Is RJI right? Yep, RJI fellow who's studying all kinds of interesting things related to digital news, specifically around mobile and push notifications. She's many years experience in WordPress, and she's been doing this a while, so she's got good stuff to tell us about. This one's about plugins. So for those of you who joined the previous 2, we had one as an introduction to WordPress. Second one last time was getting to know Gutenberg, which is the new CMS, the content management system that WordPress uses in the back end. If you would like to see those, you can go to the YouTube channel that we have, youtube.com, search for Center for Cooperative Media. Both of those sessions are up now. The way this is going to work is, this is a webinar, but this is a video conferencing software, so I'm just going to be monitoring the participant list and the chat. Everybody will be muted except for Krystal. She'll share her screen and do her webinar, and then if you like to ask a question, you can type it in the chat, or if you really like, and if we have time, you can just raise your hand. I'll be watching the videos as well, and we'll find a nice time to pause, and I'll interject and say, Krystal, we have a question. But for the sake of lack of confusion or elsewise, I'm going to be the one who's interrupting when necessary. Okay. With that, I'll turn it over to Krystal. You can get started.
Thanks, Joe. Also, I don't know if you saw it today, Joe. I sent out a Google document with all the links from the last 2 seminars, just to make sure that everyone has both of them. So I will also send that out to all the participants who registered for today. So now I'm going to do my screen share.
You created a bit.ly, right, for that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm pasting that link in the chat right now. Just be
great.
bit.ly links are case sensitive, so when you see the capital letters in there, you'll have to replicate that if you're typing it in.
Great. Thanks. No, can you see the slides? Can you see?
No, not yet. We just see you right now.
I had this problem last time.
Yeah.
I know it.
There we go. We're good now.
Okay. Still good? Are you still good?
All set. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Sorry, just better safe than sorry after that first time where I was talking and no one could see the slides. Yeah. So, plugins. Plugins add many features to your WordPress website, but you really need to choose wisely. Because, for example, this weekend, my host no longer allows me to use one of my favorite plugins, so I found an alternative, and I implemented that plugin, and it broke my site. And all of a sudden, I was staring at what we refer to as the white screen of death. It wasn't a really big problem. I had to go into my host and do a one-click restore of my previous site from the day before, the backup copy. So, but following my own advice, just be really careful about how you select a WordPress plugin. Fortunately, it wasn't my main website. It was another website I was actually testing the plugin on, so that was okay. But when you look at plugins, you really have to ask yourself these questions. When was the plugin created? When was the plugin last updated? How many people have downloaded the plugin? If a lot of people have downloaded it, it's usually a good sign. Does the plugin have a good user ratings? And is the plugin author responsive to support forum issues and emails? So here are 2 plugins I was looking at in the plugin repository. The floating feature image, a short code that allows a floating featured image to be placed at the top of a post. Whoops. So you look at that, and it was last updated a year ago, and it's been untested with this version of WordPress. And it only has about 50 active installations. No way am I going to use that plugin. Now contrast that with this plugin, OrbitFox by Themile. That's a reputable theme creator, so they also create plugins. This had over 300,000 active installs, for very high ratings. It was last updated 4 weeks ago, and it's compatible with this version of WordPress. I'm going to give that a try. Two more examples. I'm working on a project on progressive web apps and how local publishers can create web apps for free. These are the two most popular plugins, PWA for WP and Progressive WordPress. The first one was updated 21 hours ago. The second one was updated 2 months ago. Okay, they're both compatible with my version of WordPress. Both have great reviews. Which do I choose? I'm not quite sure yet. So I look at Progressive WordPress. Okay, looks good. Looks good. I click on the WordPress org plugin page. See what else I can find out. That brings you to this page. We're scrolling down here, actually. Okay, I read the description. So up here you can see all the important details. So reviews, installation instructions, support form questions, and development. As a little side tip here, this little advanced view down at the bottom. Let's say you install a plugin and the latest version doesn't work with your site, but the previous version before the update worked perfectly. If you go to advanced view in the lower right and click on that, it'll show you all the previous versions of that plugin. So you can go back and download the older version and reinstall it and get rid of the newer version. Nice little trick. So anyway, so I go to the ratings and I see, okay, 16 stars, but look at support. 0 out of 10 issues have been resolved in the last 2 months. And then I go and look at the forum and you can see someone posted something, no response. Posted something, no response. That's not a great sign. I emailed the plugin developer and I said, hey, are you still developing this or have you abandoned this plugin? He said, oh, I'm still developing it. I'm just not very active in the support forums. I downloaded the plugin to test it on my second site, which I use to test a lot of things. I actually had a problem, so it wasn't pushing stories to the app on my phone. So it should be, showing you a little notification whenever you push a story. Responded to me. So of course I am not going to use that plugin. Now the other plugin developers, the PWA, the first one I showed you with the yellow, I downloaded their plugin. Oh, you can see on their forum, they're very active. Like every day, they respond within 24 hours. I emailed them, I asked a question. They got back to me within 24 hours. They said, oh, if you have any more questions, please ask us. You can see they're very active in the forums. So that's the one I went with. I actually had trouble a few times with that plugin, and they were very patient, happy to answer questions. Also, the first person meant well. The plugin I showed you where he's not answering the support forms, that's just a plugin he created for free. He's not monetizing that in any way. But the second one, the one I ended up choosing, even though that one is free for me, the company runs, they create WordPress themes for publishers. Magazine 3 is the name of the company. So I'm sure indirectly these plugins that they offer for free drive people to buy their themes. So they're monetizing things, which to me is always a good sign. I prefer to choose like freemium plugins or plugins where I can see that there's some business model that's going to keep the plugin sustainable so that it's not abandoned. After I become attached to using this plugin, it's not abandoned and then I'm stuck looking for a new plugin. Here's another example of a bad plugin. I really have been looking for a solution to print easily for my website. So a lot of my readers say, oh, when I print, I get these sidebars. It doesn't look very nice. I just want to create a PDF and print it. Sometimes like the things that seem the most simple are actually the most difficult to do. So this is a freemium plugin. The free version does very little. The premium version does most of the tasks we would want it to do. But if you go and you look at the ratings, you see 11 one-star ratings and 1 out of 6 issues, 1 out of 6 support issues were answered. But then you go and look at the forum and look at the complaints, like malware ruins SEO. It turns out it does ruin your SEO by creating these pages in your website. So you're competing with your own content basically, and also it like leaves ad and codes in your website even after you remove it. I had to go and clean up my tables after that. So it's really helpful to read these forum topics and look at the level of support. Are there any questions on that?
Doesn't seem to be any at the moment.
No? Okay. Now, how many plugins is too many? More plugins than you actually need. There is no set number. That's kind of the Zen answer, but there's really no set number. Some people say, is 30 too many? Is 40 too many? Really, whatever you need for your site. But one of the biggest things I would stress to you is that you need to delete all inactive plugins. Sometimes I go into a publisher's WordPress install and I look and they might have 60 plugins and they're using 30 of them, but they're saving the others for a rainy day. I want to use that later. I want to try it out, so I'm just putting it in there. No, write it down or something, but don't do that because that's still making your site vulnerable to security issues. You still have to do updates of those plugins. It's still adding to the size of your website. So get rid of all inactive plugins. And then remove duplicate plugins. What I mean by duplicates is so for example, I was helping a publisher last weekend and I looked and they had 3 different plugins installed: WP Optimize, Auto Optimize, and W3 Total Cache. All of those are performing the same functions basically. So having 3 of them do the same thing. Sometimes publishers do this with security plugins. They'll have a few thinking that makes their fortress even stronger. No, it's just adding more bulk to your site. It could be slowing down your site. When I removed 2 of those 3 plugins, it sped up the site. Also, the person didn't realize that their hosting company, Flywheel, caches the site itself anyway. So really, none of those plugins were necessary for the caching function. Now, WP Optimize can do other things, cleaning up your tables and things like that, but you don't need any of those other caching plugins. So, and then there are some plugins that now, like calls to action, like embedding a newsletter, sign up, things like that. I can use Gutenberg blocks to do that now. So Gutenberg blocks with the new block editor for WordPress, that's really helped me pare down the number of plugins I have on my install. So look to see if you can do something with Gutenberg blocks before you add a plugin. Any questions there? No?
Not yet.
Now I'm going to talk about plugins that I think are great for publishers, really focused on content distribution and engagement. So social media share buttons, there are hundreds of plugins out there in the WordPress repository, which has thousands of plugins. So there are hundreds of plugins that will help you share to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But a lot of them are freemium models, or you have to pay to really get any functionality, or some of them are really slow your site down. So it's important to pick plugins that won't share your site down, slow your site down. Mex Easy Social Share is a great one. It's very lightweight. It's free. Social Warfare, I think, costs about $25 a year, but that is a really amazing plugin with lots of features. Lots of ways you can customize your icons, and like it'll create Twitter cards. It'll put a little Pinterest icon on the image to encourage people to put the image on their Pinterest board. Gutenberg blocks, you can now create a little area on your page, saying share. And then if you want, like in the sidebar or somewhere in the page, you want people to follow your different social media channels, I recommend Lightweight Social Icons by Tom Osborne, who created the Generate Press framework. It's incredibly lightweight and easy to use and highly customizable. social media auto post tools. I don't know about you, but back when I started my website, I'd post a story using the WordPress dashboard. Then I'd copy the link, then I'd go to Facebook and post it there, then I'd go to Twitter and post it there. Really tedious, right? Especially when you're doing a lot of breaking news. Then I started using Hootsuite, so I'm still leaving my WordPress dashboard to go to Hootsuite. And, that was okay, that was better, but hey, you don't even have to do that. You don't have to leave the WordPress dashboard because there are all these tools now where you can auto post from WordPress. So one of the most popular ones is Blog to Social, and it's free to post to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, Reddit. The paid version adds a few more choices there, like not just your LinkedIn profile, but your LinkedIn business page. But also what's great about the paid version is you can schedule your social media posts for a later time. And then it also will tell you the best times to post based on reader engagement on your website and then on your social media channels. Snap is very similar to Blog to Social. The reviews aren't as great, but some of my friends in the WordPress community like it. Right now I'm using Jetpack by Automatic. Automatic is a suite of tools for WordPress that was built. Jetpack is a suite of tools for WordPress built by Automatic, the for-profit arm of WordPress. The one downside to that is there's no ability to schedule social media posts. So you can schedule your WordPress post, and when your WordPress post actually posts, the social media channels will also link to the post. But you can't separate the two. You can't say, well, I'm going to post it to WordPress now and post it with Jetpack later to my social media channels. So basically, if I want something to go out on my social media channels later, I just will schedule the post on the WordPress dashboard for later. I'll show you. So this is Jetpack. And the other thing about Jetpack is it has a lot of other tools. You might say, do I need all these tools? So you might want to go with the plugin that does one thing. The other two I mentioned, if you don't want some of these other Jetpack tools. But so if you go to the Jetpack plugin settings and you go to sharing, it says publicize connections, and then you click yes, automatically share your post to social networks. And then you will connect your social media accounts. And that's a very easy process. Basically logging into your Facebook and your Twitter. You can add sharing buttons. You can add sharing buttons to your posts and pages with Jetpack too. They're not as nice looking. They're not as attractive as some of the other plugins that do that. So I don't always use that for my sites with Jetpack. So here I created a post, and then it says, are you ready to publish? So all I have to do is go down. Now we're looking at the Gutenberg editor here. So if the classic editor would be similar questions, but they would just be, I think it's horizontal instead of vertical. Whoops. So connect and select the accounts where you'd like to share your post. So this is the great thing about every post. You can customize. Like sometimes I want to post things to both Facebook and Twitter, sometimes just Twitter. And then you can customize the message that goes out in front of the link. I like to change it up a little so it's not the same as the headline. It can be a little more informal. I do hashtags sometimes. Some people say they don't find it to be as effective as actually putting hashtags in Twitter and a Twitter post, but I haven't had an issue with that. Let me see. Any questions about that? No?
Not at the, well, do we have somebody raising their hands? Nope, I don't see anybody.
Does anyone use any of these auto syndication tools, or do you use Hootsuite or Buffer? Or?
I'd use Twitter, TweetDeck.
Mm-hmm. I used to use TweetDeck before I started using these. I'll still use TweetDeck if I want to post something where I'm not linking to a story, or if I want to, sometimes with Twitter I'll share at different times of the day the same story. So that's when I'll go back in and do this a second time. Now, once you post to one of these, so like once I post this story, so let's say I post the story and I don't select Twitter, but later I want it to post to Twitter. You can't, once the story is posted, that's it. You can't go back and update the post and have it then propagate to your social media channels. So you kind of have one shot at sharing when you actually post the first time, when you post a story the first time. But I found it to be a real time saver. It's been really good for me. So now push notifications. So yes, I'm an RJI fellow this year studying push notifications and how local news publishers can use those and progressive web apps to engage more readers. Push notifications with OneSignal are totally free if you have fewer than 30,000 push notification subscribers. More than 30,000 and you're going to pay $99 a month. For a local news site like mine, I have about 6,000 subscribers right now, which is great for a site my size, so it's absolutely free for me. So you go to onesignal.com, you log in, and you create an account, and you log in and you set up your account. OneSignal gives you a step-by-step guide in terms of how to set that up. It's fairly easy. And then you're going to go to the WordPress plugin repository. And I wanted to show this first. So not only can you push stories, but let's just say you want to send a message out to your readers with a link or no link at all. You just want to post like an alert, like a traffic alert or an emergency alert. You can go into the OneSignal Dashboard at onesignal.com and send a message and push it to all your subscribers there. So here are the settings. We're still in onesignal.com. You choose the platforms you want to have your information pushed to. You can see analytics. I could see how many people clicked on my push notification. I can see it'll break down my users from very active users to active to not so active. So, and you can push to each group if you want. So like let's say I just want to push something to my most devoted push alert users. For example, a voluntary subscription form, something like that. I can do that. And then you can see, so I'm pushing to all browsers except Safari here. You have to set up Safari separately. I set up Windows Phone 8. Now, iOS devices will not allow push notifications yet, so that's coming soon. You can push to email, so if you use something like some other email program in tandem with OneSignal, it's like, I don't know if any of you subscribe to a news outlet, like let's say your local patch where they send you an email for every story they post. They're using this kind of system where the push notification service integrates with email. Soon, I'm really excited about this, you will be able to push to Alexa and Google Home. OneSignal says that's about 3 to 6 months away. So once you set up your OneSignal account, you go back to WordPress and you go into the dashboard for plugins and you add the OneSignal web push notification plugin. And then there's a new plugin someone created, OneSignal Sender. It's an add-on, and basically what it does is, so you don't have to leave the WordPress dashboard to go back into OneSignal and send those customized pushes. You can now do that through the WordPress dashboard with this add-on plugin, OneSignal Sender. So it's nice because I, as a busy publisher who covers breaking news, sometimes I don't have to, it's just adding an extra step to have to go back into OneSignal, log in, write your push, and publish it there. So that's handy. So we're in the WordPress plugin dashboard for OneSignal, and I just wanted to give you an idea of all the steps to set up OneSignal. It looks more daunting than it is. I think I set mine up in about 15 minutes. I hope everyone is using HTTPS, secure, SSL, so that your site is secure. That means the information that is relayed to your site is secure. Google now ranks your website based on whether or not you're using HTTPS. So if you want to improve your Google rankings, make sure you have HTTPS. And most host companies will give you a free certificate, and it's like basically a few clicks of the button to deploy SSL. So you have some codes you have to enter in your, I think I had to take these codes here and enter them in my OneSignal account. And then you can really customize how you want your push notifications to look. Like, I use a featured image for every push so that when someone gets a flash on the screen, they see a headline and an image. And then hide notifications after a few seconds. I actually find that annoying as a user. Like, I'll see the notification. I'm like, wait, where's that little screen closed? I'm actually going to be doing a survey of my readers to find out which they prefer, because that could be annoying people. I don't know. Then you can create a notification title, Planet Princeton News Update. And then here you'll see, so you can set up your prompt settings and subscription bell. So once you install OneSignal and have it activated, a little bell will appear in the lower, well, I have it set up to appear in the lower right corner of my website. People can click it to subscribe. The first time they go to the site with OneSignal active, they'll get a prompt after about 30 seconds saying, would you like to subscribe to our push notifications? And then that little bell shrinks and is smaller. And basically they can click on that bell again to unsubscribe. So here you can customize all sorts of things, enable the bell, show the subscription bell after users subscribed, show the OneSignal logo. You can customize the text, you can customize the size, the position, bottom right. I'm going to try bottom left just to see if that changes anything. I'm going to try changing the colors. You can choose where the offset position, bottom offset. You can really customize this. It's amazing how far it's come just in the last year. You can create a welcome notification so that after people subscribe, you say thank you. One publisher I know, Q City Metro, when you subscribe to his push notifications, it'll say, thank you for being a supporter of Q City Metro. I find that's a nice touch. You can choose whether or not you want OneSignal to automatically send out a push every time you write a WordPress post. So you would enable this here, automatically send a push notification when I create a post. I have that unchecked. Why? Because so it used to be I had it, this would automatically check off a box, which I'll show you in a minute. And on the WordPress post, so in the individual WordPress post, it would automatically check off send push notification. So when I didn't want to send a push notification, I would uncheck that box. Most of the time I would remember, but a few times I accidentally did not uncheck the box, and I thought I unchecked it, but I didn't, and like I sent out something about, let's say, the Girl Scout Jamboree, or a lost cat in the neighborhood. To me, that's not something I would normally push. Although actually the lost cat did very well. I was really upset because I think I got like 20% click-through rate versus my big zoning board story that day, which only got like a 4% click-through rate. So you never know. You have to test these things with your audience. But anyway, so instead I manually check the box every time I do a WordPress post if I want to push it. UTM tracking settings, that's really that's an advanced feature. I'm not using that right now, but it'll help you track the usage, like how many people are actually going to your site via the app, and it'll connect with Google Analytics. That's a new feature, so I'm still working on that. So you save all these settings. This is an example of what the bell looks like after someone has subscribed. They get this little notification here. Whenever they highlight the bell, it just reminds them they're subscribed to notifications. If they hover over that bell, they'll be prompted to unsubscribe if they want to. So I used to push everything, and I used to treat OneSignal as just like another syndication or distribution method, and that was the wrong thing to do. I got a lot of unsubscribers when I did that. People who really don't want to hear about like the neighborhood news or the just photo of the day or something like that. Ever since I changed my strategy and I push like breaking news, features, investigative pieces, my loss rate is much lower. So, any questions about OneSignal before we talk about progressive web apps? We'll look at our time. No? Has anyone used?
Go ahead.
Has anyone tried OneSignal, or does anyone use an app or push notification service?
I have.
Yeah. What are you using, Joe, or what?
We used Push for a while, and the reason I liked it was because it allowed you to, you have a picture in your notification as well. I thought that was really nice. You could show your featured image. You could also schedule them to go out. You can decide which ones should go out versus which ones shouldn't go out as a notification, which is something that's nice. You can set the default so that it doesn't actually send one out in case you accidentally hit publish instead of save draft. So I just found it really easy to integrate and to set up as someone who doesn't have any coding background.
Yeah, you can do that with OneSignal too. I think I meant to have a screenshot of an actual post. I can show you later if we have time. But basically, it's just a little box I have to check. But it also will show a featured image if you choose that's how you want the push notifications to render. Now, I will say you can schedule a push if you go to the onesignal.com dashboard. So if you want to type a message and then add a link in there, you can schedule it that way. But you can't schedule from the WordPress dashboard. So you'd have to go to the OneSignal dashboard.
You're right. I'm thinking also, I don't know, any combination with Zapier as well is always nice, especially since they have WordPress integrations where, when things go out, you can sort of combine that with your, with your Zapier strategy. Kimmy said, what's that plugin? We're talking about OneSignal, right? Yeah.
Yes, OneSignal.
I can post the link to the plugin in the chat.
And then I created the bit.ly link, and I'll add these slides later, and I'll add links to the OneSignal website, just like I did for the last 2 sessions on the bit.ly. So, and I'm happy to, Kimmy's actually attended all 3 seminars, so I'm happy to, Kimmy, figure out what you want help with after the seminar, and we'll get together over the phone sometime in the next, not this week, but sometime in the next 2 weeks. I can help you. Okay. So a lot of my readers say to me, Krystal, I want Planet Princeton on my home screen. I want to get alerts. Some of them don't realize that if they go like on my Android in Chrome, if I go up to the top and click 3 little dots, I can say add to home screen. That will at least add the icon, and if they click it, it'll go to my website. But if you want people to receive alerts through your phone and have like a native app experience, a progressive web app is the way to go. So this is new technology just in the last few years. Google is really pushing this technology. Not only the benefit isn't just being able to push things, but also so progressive web apps use JavaScript, and they cache your site so that when people click on the site, it loads within like a second. It's amazing. It's blazing fast. And as you may know, people will abandon a site. Let's say it doesn't load in 2 seconds. I want to say something like more than 40% of people will abandon it if it doesn't load within a few seconds. So speed is important, and then also it works offline because it's cached the stories and images. So even if someone has a horrible connection or no connection at all, it will still render the content from your site. I've tested more than 20 apps that are in the WordPress repository, and this one, PWA, is by far the best. It's updated regularly, and the developers offer great support, and they have all sorts of tutorials online. So if anyone wants to walk through how to use it, I'm happy to help. I'm developing a guide that will give people step-by-step instructions on how to implement push. It took me a few times to implement this properly because when you're using OneSignal for desktop, you have to take some extra steps so that OneSignal and the progressive web app basically aren't competing with each other on your mobile devices. I don't know if that makes sense, but you have OneSignal and this PWA app both like prompting your server, for push. So I had to follow a few extra steps, and the guys were great about walking me through that. So I'll be happy to share that knowledge with people, but I don't want to get in the weeds too much there today. So also, iOS does not. So when I installed this when I installed this progressive web app, I was all excited, and I told the head of my advisory board, hey, go to Planet Princeton, you can add the icon now. And he's like, I don't see it. Well, it's because he has an iPhone, and iPhone just isn't quite there yet with allowing the technology. So there's another plugin called Add to Homescreen that I use. I implemented, and that will add the icon. So for iPhone users, when they go to planetprinceton.com, it will prompt them to add the icon to their homepage. Again, iPhone users don't realize that they could do that themselves. If they're visiting a website, they click the upper right, it'll say add to home screen, but you can try to explain to people, follow these steps, but prompting them is much better. They're more likely to engage and follow through. So, any questions about progressive web apps? The great thing is it used to be an app would cost could cost several $1,000s to create, and sometimes it would have, like, I've tried paid versions of these online app stores where you can create an app yourself, and but like you're limited to a few themes, and it strips away, let's say, the ads, or strips away the calendar. The beauty of the progressive web app, this plugin here, is it renders your site just as it is, on desktop or on a regular mobile device. So you still see all the ads, you still see the calendar, you see everything just as it would look on a normal mobile device, but it loads a lot faster, and you have the ability to use push alerts. So AMP, I'm really not going to get into AMP too much because I could spend a whole seminar on AMP, but accelerated mobile pages, I just wanted to say, so there are two plugins for implementing accelerated mobile pages. Again, actually these guys are the same guys who created the PWA app I use. They're brothers. And has a lot of high ratings. Now this one here on the left, AMP, just called AMP, that's actually a partnership with WordPress and Automatic. And you see it doesn't have great ratings. You think, well, wow, why are the ratings not so great when Automatic created this? Well, back in the beginning, it was really terrible, and it had like 1-star ratings. But if you look at the most recent ratings, it's working very well. This is after a few years of upgrades and changes. So it has more than 400,000 active installations. Now, a lot of people seem to be under the false impression that if you use AMP, your ads won't render, your other assets won't render. Now that was true back in the beginning when AMP was first implemented, but as of November of 2017, if you use this plugin, your site renders as it would on a regular mobile device for the most part, but your ads and images are not stripped away. And in fact, studies show that ads perform 5 times better if you're using AMP than not. Also, if you Google some news and you notice, like, up near the top, you see all these boxes of like top stories, you cannot get in that section unless you're an Google AMP website. So I have that's on my list of to-dos. That's one of my next things is to I'm redesigning my site to use a really AMP-friendly theme, Astra, and then I'm going to implement AMP myself. So, does anyone use AMP yet? Joe, do you use AMP?
We've used them before. We do a couple of trainings actually on instant articles and accelerated mobile pages, and so we know a lot of the partners, a lot of Lion folks have gone through those trainings as well.
Right. That was another reason I wasn't going to belabor that.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean it is great. I mean as far as I know, every metric and indicator that we've seen since they launched them has sort of pointed to the effectiveness of it. It's just that quicker load time and the in-browser, instant up has been really useful. And yes, like you're right, it does now preserve a lot more of the integrity of the content than when it first started, because that was hard. And then getting modules to work, like iframes in the article, all that kind of stuff. Now it is much better now.
Yeah. I mean, the ad and image issue before was a deal breaker for a lot of publishers.
Yep.
I find it to be more like flexible and open than instant articles, so, but, okay, search engine optimization. Are you all using Yoast, the Yoast SEO plugin? Susan, do you use Yoast?
I don't do it, so I'm here to get used to the language, but Donna might.
So how does Google find your stories? Well, so it used to be, so the Google bot crawls the web, or the Bing bot looking for new content, right? And it indexes your stories. Well, Yoast is like the top search engine optimization plugin. It helps Google and Bing and the search engines find your content. It's free. First of all, the basic version is free, and it does like all the basic things you need it to do. Their tagline is SEO for all, I think, and they really mean that they want to help all publishers. And now the premium version offers, like, you can choose more keywords and things like that, but basically Yoast will help you, like, it shows you like how SEO friendly your posts are. You can pick keywords. It also helps you pick an image for your social media posts. So if you want, and then you can customize like the meta tags and all that for your social media, for your post itself. Like, you can see how it's going to appear in Google search, and you can customize that. It took a while for me to add the extra steps to my routine. So for every post, making sure it's optimized for Yoast SEO. But even if you don't want to go through all that, even if you just, you install and activate the plugin. So what's changed since the spring is, so Yoast worked with Google and Bing to change the way SEO works. So it used to be, the bots crawled the web for your content. Now what happens with the latest versions of Yoast SEO since April is, when you post a new story and you have Yoast activated, Yoast says, hey Google, hey Bing, there's a new story here. So within like a minute or two of me writing a story and posting it, it's out there on like Google like really quickly now. Like I noticed, like with Google News, now my stories appear really quickly in Google News searches, or if you have, like I have my Google Alert set up so that every time there's a new Princeton story, I get an alert. Well, now my stories come up much quicker because Yoast is pushing out the information to Google instead of Google searching for it. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah.
Any questions? Yep. Any questions?
The quick indexing is super helpful. It used to take a while.
Right. It's really, I feel like it's really revolutionized things. It's totally changed the nature of search. It's revolutionized things, and then also it helps smaller publishers like us compete with the big guys. So like it used to be, when I had a big story, let's just say the New York Daily News picked it up or something, they would just crush me because I can't compete with them, and like their story would show up in like Google search and news feed before mine would, but now that's no longer the case. So I feel like it like levels the playing field a bit. So even if you install it and you don't have the bandwidth to go through all those steps of optimizing your post yet, it'll still do you a great world of good. I'll
just chime in. I've also found it super helpful because it also allows you, I believe I'm correct, that Yoast allows you to edit the original or OG tags, the meta tags.
Yes, that's what I said before.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm saying that I never knew how to do that. It took me forever to find that, because the worst is when you go to share an article and it accidentally selects the featured image as some like small icon on your site, and you go to
Right.
So that alone was super helpful for
Right.
me. And then also just having that little bar indicator telling you, hey, you're getting too long, or
Right.
hey, this is a little wordy, or that kind of thing.
Right.
Incredibly helpful, especially if you want different, not SEO, but different OG tags, like different headline, different subhead or featured image for different platforms. So just to plus one on that.
I used to have a problem with Facebook, like picking the wrong image sometimes, and sometimes it would be really embarrassing. Like you have like an obit or something, and it pulls some weird image from an ad or something.
Yeah. Or the author's profile picture as well, which looks weird. Yeah, that just can be a real nightmare, and especially the studies show that majority of people don't actually click on; they just read the headline and see your little social card. So often that can actually influence a lot more than you want.
Exactly. So Yoast SEO helps with that. The other thing is, so it puts markup in your stories that, so really like voice is going to be like the default, like the dominant search eventually, or, it's probably on its way already. So like Yoast puts this markup in stories that makes it much easier for Google to understand what the content is, because like the computers really aren't that smart. They need a lot of instructions, and then Google, the voice tools even more so, and also, like, for example, like if you have a how-to or a recipe, it adds special code to those kinds of posts so that Google and Bing, all the search engines know what kind of content it is. So it's really easy to install. If someone wants me to walk them through it, I'm happy to. I also can share videos of, like, I went to a seminar at WordPress meetup in New York City where someone walked us through how to do one post with Yoast and get all the green lights, and it was really fun, actually. So it's not as hard as you think. So green lights means really, everything's optimized for good search results. So. And Yoast loves the inverted pyramid. The inverted pyramid is back in style. If you read like the Yoast blog, they'll say like that's one of the best practices. Write the most important thing up top and have sections. And but it's interesting. Other tools. So with calls to action. So let's say you have an email. You want people to sign up for your email newsletter. These are 3 email sign-up plugins I really like. There are hundreds out there, but I found a lot of them are really spammy. I installed one I hadn't used before on a client's site because someone had recommended it, and all of a sudden they started getting all these spam emails, and it was the plugin. So once I deleted the plugin, the spam emails stopped. So I use Mail Opt-in right now, and one of my clients has had a lot of success with Mail Opt-in for her restaurant week up in Hudson County. She has like 19,000 subscribers, and you can customize the box to look really attractive. Holler Box is another good one. Pop-Up Maker is recommended by the Institute for Nonprofit News. I was looking at it. I think the INN had created their own previously, and now they're encouraging people to use Pop-Up Maker. And I looked at it. It's really robust, and it's open source. It's totally free. And you can customize everything. You can say, don't show the pop-up for 2 minutes because, this applies to push notifications too. It's like, I just got on the date. I don't know if I want a second date yet. So by asking me right away to sign up, that might turn me off, and I might just close that box, right? So, so INN also has a great list of best practices, but this pop-up maker has all these features where you can say, okay, let's have it be a slider that slides out after 2 minutes. Let's say, okay, if someone was shown the pop-up box and they closed it, we're not going to show it to them for another, let's say, month. You can customize the intervals. It's really great. So I'm actually going to be switching to that one, but you can't go wrong with any of these. Do any of you use an email sign-up plugin now? Or do you use MailChimp's default? Or Susan, what do you use?
Yeah, Susan, what do you use?
We're on MailChimp. Whether it's the default or not, I don't know, but that's,
Okay.
I'll ask.
We use the pop-up email sign-up way that allows you to turn it off and don't show this again for a couple of days. I don't know if we use the exact same one, but I did put a link to the pop-up maker from INN Labs. Kimmy Way has a quick question. Krystal, what did you say is heading in the direction of becoming the standard? I believe this is back when you were talking about like 2 seconds ago. What, Kimmy? I'm going to unmute you. Do you want to just chime in and ask your question? It's not letting me unmute you. Hold on. There you go.
Okay, here I go.
Hi, Kimmy.
Hey. So yeah, you were talking a couple minutes ago about something. Let's see. I think it was after the AMP discussion, and you said that something. Oh yeah, something is
Go
becoming.
back 2 slides. 2 slides. I think it was like 2 slides ago.
Something
maybe
is
one
becoming the standard now, and so we can like get ahead of the curve by using it. And
I think the Yoast plugin.
Yeah.
is it the Yoast? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, that's very, very common. Very, very common app. Everybody seems to really like that one.
Yeah, but a lot of publishers aren't using, local publishers aren't using it yet, and it's free and it's easy to install. And,
If you want, I mean, Marty Halo, who does a lot of our web stuff here, was the one to introduce me to it. If anybody wants to get more direct coaching on that, we could try to do another WordPress training, or not WordPress, a training on specifically on SEO.
Yeah.
I think that it seems like everybody would find that useful. I'll talk to Marty and see if he'd be interested in redoing a version of that as well, because there are things about SEO and discovery that could be kneecapping you that you don't even realize are an issue. Which is making you show up on the dreaded second page of Google, even. It's like a graveyard.
People don't realize, so you can set keywords in Yoast. I use Yoast Premium, and you can choose like key phrases, right? That you want your site indexed for. And like one of my clients who's a photojournalist, she was adding the same key phrase in every page, thinking that would boost her site's ranking. And actually, so Google ranks pages, it doesn't rank websites. So, it's basically you're competing against yourself if you have the same keywords on different pages. It used to be like I have 2 websites, Planet Trenton and Planet Princeton, and it used to be I would post the exact same story on each website with the exact same keywords. Well, then they're competing against each other. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah, we used to do something similar. I didn't realize we would post on Medium, and then we'd post a duplicate article on centerforcooperativemedia.org, and then all of a sudden it would see both of us as suspicious or something, because it looked like because Google tries to limit the ability for people to just copy and rip off content. On
Right. That, and then also, unique content. So I was looking for unique content, and but I didn't know that before. It's like not intuitive to, but yeah, Google ranks pages, not websites. So you can even be competing against yourself within your own website.
That I didn't even know. I didn't realize that as well. It doesn't just distinguish between like a domain that's the exact same.
Google ranks pages, not websites. So, like, let's say, like, I want to rank high for Princeton, New Jersey news. Princeton, New Jersey news, sewer department. I work in a big investigation. Well, I don't want to use that same key phrase, like in all my posts about the sewer department investigation, because, then it's like dividing up the ranking. It's dividing up, like, you want one page to be the dominant one of all your pages for that particular phrase. Does that make sense? So if I have two food posts about Trenton pork roll, right? I mean, on Planet Trenton, I have 2 food posts about pork roll, and they're very similar, and I choose also the same keywords for on the Yoast plugin. those two pages. So which one does Google make first, and which one does Google choose as second? It's like each of them is weighed the same, so neither is really you want one page to be dominant, basically. So basically you want unique content on all your posts and pages as much as possible. Yeah, because you can compete against yourself. So, anything else on that, Kimmy? Did you have another question on that?
Well, I just, you know, I always ask myself, at what point should I pay for a plugin? You know, like Yoast has a lot of free tools, but like I haven't unlocked the power of Yoast, you know, like it's like a very deep dive for me, and I just haven't had the time. But, you know, like I'm using the free version, but I say to myself, you know, out of the box, should I be using the paid version and getting used to that? Do you have a thought on that?
Well, I would say use the free version to its max first, you know, and really see how that helps you. And because if you're not using the free version to its maximum capacity, you know, to the max, then there's no sense in moving to the premium version, because you're not gonna. I mean, you have to follow all those steps you followed in the free version and then some. You know. So I would wait till you're really comfortable with the free version. That's what I did. Once I really felt comfortable with it, and I was in the routine of entering, you know, information in all the fields, that's when I switched to the premium version.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, have I noticed that it's made a really big difference from free to premium? I haven't really noticed that huge a difference. You can use more keyword phrases, but yeah, the free version is pretty darn good, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, what do you use for email, by the way?
So I use Mail Opt-in, but I'm switching to I'm going to try Pop-Up Maker just because it's added so many new features, and it's recommended by INN. So, and it was updated recently. I want to say it was, for a while it wasn't updated, but now it's being updated again. I think so. Yeah, that's what I'm going to try. So.
Okay. Thanks.
But you can't go wrong with any of these. I mean, I wouldn't just go pick a random one from the WordPress repository, because, you know, they can be spammy. Also, one thing I don't recommend people do is go to the Envato or ThemeForest sites and buy plugins there. I just don't find the quality of most of the plugins and themes on those theme marketplaces to be very good. And actually, those theme companies are often violating the WordPress license. Yeah. So like Matt Mullenweg, the founder of WordPress, has banned Envato people from speaking at WordPress conferences because they're in violation of the open source licensing of WordPress.
Oh, damn. Really? I had no idea. We've used Envato before. Now I feel like scab.
I mean, some decent theme developers. Actually, my theme developer was on Envato, but since has moved, and now is selling through his own website. I think there's a trend away from Envato and ThemeForest. Also, with Gutenberg, I mean, really, it's interesting just to see how Gutenberg is evolving and how easy it's becoming. Like, I'm designing my own new theme now for my website the way I want to. It's because, page builders and the block editor are making it so easy. I mean, you can build pages. I have a friend who's teaching a WordPress seminar at WordCamp Philly, and he's going to show people how they can build a whole page just using the block editor and style it really beautifully. So I think, what's going to happen to these theme companies and plugin creators when, someone like me can create my own theme from scratch with these other tools and make it look pretty good, so.
Real quick, I just want to open up to Coburn, Randall on the call. I'm going to unmute both of you. If you want to chime in here, it's not letting me unmute you for some reason. I don't know why. There we go. Oh, there we go.
I think I unmuted myself.
There you go. Yeah, did you have any questions or comments you want to chime in here? I want to make sure we got you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm just mostly following along, just trying to learn some stuff. I think the SEO separate webinar would be really excellent, especially doing some more of the Yoast features. That would be really great.
Can do. How about Randall? you're still muted, Randall. You can unmute yourself, but if not, we can keep moving. It is a 2:05. We're scheduled till about 2:30, so we got plenty of time. There's only 6 of us here. Susan, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I have to get going, but it's great, Krystal. Thank you so much. Me too. It's just helpful to hear the language and hear your ideas. So really
Awesome.
appreciate
Thanks for joining us.
Love to
The
follow
slides
up.
will be online later. Yep.
Yeah, we're going to post the recording, the slides, the transcript, all that stuff. So.
Okay, terrific. Thanks. Thanks a
All right.
lot.
Bye-bye. Okay, we can keep moving then, I guess.
Okay. So form plugins, what do people use for forms so people can contact them? What are people using there?
Airtable, honestly. I use Airtable.
Embedded in your site?
Yes.
Okay. Kimmy, what do you use? Do you have a contact form on your website?
No.
So how do people contact you if they read a story on the website and they want to reach out to you?
They mostly get me through Facebook.
Okay. How about anyone else? Do you have a contact form on your website? And if so, what form builder do you use?
Yeah, we don't have a form. We just have a contact info page with all of our email, phone, that kind of thing listed.
Do you get a lot of spam just listing your email or no?
Nope, not that I'm aware of, unless it goes to our spam box.
So first of all, you can use form plugins not just for contact, but you can gather other information with forms. So like one of the most simple forms to set up is JotForm. Basically, you go to the JotForm website and you can pick a template, and then you take that template and you can change some of the field names if you want, and then you take the short code and embed it in your WordPress website. But it's really like a visual form builder. So for people who struggle with building forms with some of the other more complex form builders, JotForm is the way to go. Now, Contact Form 7 is really like the standard. It's like the classic form builder. It's free, and I think it's had a few million downloads. And the founder, who lives in Japan, he makes money with add-ons for Contact Form 7 and other projects. But Contact Form is limited in some ways. So Gravity Forms, you can do amazingly complex things with Gravity Forms. You can take payments. You can accept user submissions through Gravity Forms. So if you want people to post stories directly to your website, you can use Gravity Form add-ons to set that up. Gravity Forms has something like 89 different add-ons to expand the abilities of Gravity Forms. But I use it on some client sites where people are accepting payments. But if you just want simple contact forms, any of these will do. Any questions about that? So this is JotForm. You're on the jotform.com website. You choose a template, and here, you select this one, and then you just ask. It'll say copy code, and you copy it and just embed it right into your where you want the form to go on your website, on a page or in a widget. So.
And then the responses get compiled into a spreadsheet in the back end in the actual dashboard. Okay.
Yes, and you can set it up so that you also get like I have with any contact form system I have, it's backed up in the database, but also I get an email with the contact us forwarded to me with the the email the person sent. So I don't know if anyone accepts subscriptions or donations if you're a nonprofit. If you do, what do you use on your website to accept those? Does anyone? Well, if you do, whether you're a for-profit or nonprofit, I recommend 2 plugins. 2 different services. So Give is sort of considered the gold standard in donation plugins, and a lot of the features are free. The company makes money with add-ons. So like, it used to be you had like a PayPal button where people would subscribe via PayPal. I had very low engagement with that PayPal button. It got better when I switched to using Give, and I could customize things more and offer different ways of paying. Some people don't trust PayPal, so they would rather give, with their Visa card. They don't realize that you can still make a donation without having a PayPal account through PayPal. But if I'm correct, if you give money to the same organization, like let's say 5 times or something, PayPal tries to force you to get an account, I guess. Another publisher was telling me. But anyway, but with Give, you're not limited. It's pretty easy to set up, and you can customize how the form looks, and then the message you send out to people who subscribe. And I think that those guys are based in Pennsylvania. The form, the donation platform I'm using now is called DonorBox. It's a nonprofit company based in San Francisco. And what I like about this, as opposed to other plugins, is it manages everything for me. Now, I say very clearly on my become a voluntary subscribing member page, like we are not a 501c3. This is not tax deductible. And then I have the form embedded where you can direct people to a link so if they click that they want to become a subscriber, it will take them to the DonorBox website and your customized page. But what's great about this is, like, let's say someone's credit card expires and they're giving me a monthly. Most of my people are monthly subscribers, paying me anywhere from $5 to $40 a month to support what I do. So a few times in the last few months, someone's credit card expired. DonorBox goes and sends them a note automatically. Hey, your credit card is expired. Would you like to update your information? It will remind them, once a year, hey, your annual subscription is about to expire. We're just confirming that you want to renew that. And then it's totally free up to $1,000 a month, but once you exceed $1,000 a month, they take just a 1% fee. Now that's on top of any PayPal fees or Stripe fees, but it integrates with Stripe, PayPal, Apple Pay. You can even pay with Bitcoin, I believe. So a lot of alternatives for people who want to give you money and support your site. Do you have anyone have any questions about that and how that works? If you go to donorbox.org, you can get more information. But I really like this tool, and the company's really responsive and helpful too.
What do you use on the back end for payments, receive payments?
I use Stripe and
Why did you choose Stripe over Square?
It just seemed like easier to integrate, and I thought the terms were better in terms of the percentage and how it's calculated. And I'm not sure if Square integrates with DonorBox, but I know Stripe does. So Stripe integrates with a lot of systems, so it seemed to be the most flexible.
Okay, great.
I think I'd use Square now you can do it with PayPal. I don't know about Stripe, but I'd use Square if I was like at an event and I was selling something and I needed to take people's credit card. I have the little Square reader that I plug into my iPad so that people could pay me via credit card for their Planet Princeton T-shirt at the festival. That's the only time I use Square.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So this is just showing the interface for DonorBox, and you can customize that. You can also choose, one time, monthly. You can choose the amount. I found it's helpful to just say other also and let people choose. Sometimes they choose a lot. Like, I don't pick a set amount because it turns, readers will choose more than I would have if I picked like a set, like $50 a year or something like that. And I really like receiving the monthly payments. Like, I can depend on that amount every month, as opposed to the unpredictable one time. Membership plugins. Seems like more people are moving towards some sort of membership program with some sort of members-only section, whether that's stories or just a membership area with forums or special features. The two membership plugins I know that some Lion people like to use Paid Memberships Pro. It's kind of the gold standard in memberships plugins, and the free version actually has a lot of features. If you go to the Paid Memberships Pro website, it says something like $279, and you see that, but that's really for like the mid-level or top tier version, but there's a free version that's free for life that offers a lot of the basic features. The creator of that plugin is based in Pennsylvania, actually like just an hour and a half from Princeton, where I live. And then Memberful, Richland Source uses Memberful for its membership program and the content it's giving to members in the forums for members. And Jay said, I think it costs $25 a month to use Memberful, and he said it's well worth it. Some people like using plugins that create a paywall, and like some publishers use leaky paywall. So if you want to offer a certain number of stories for free, and then you have to become a subscriber after that. But it gets expensive because a lot of the add-ons are expensive. So, and it's sort of a la carte. So when you add the 10 add-ons you need, all of a sudden you're paying $400 or something. You know, people were using, is it called Plano? But didn't Plano go out of business? So for a fee every month.
Or is it Piano?
Oh, I'm sorry, Piano. I'm sorry, it's called Piano. Plano's a new. I'm going to find out about at ONA as a new toolbox for publishers. But yeah, Piano. So I think I'm not sure what the percentage rate was with Piano, but they would take out a percent, and they would manage everything with your paywall and the money, and then they would pay you, certain intervals. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's
them in TinyPass. I think TinyPass is now Piano, right?
Right. TinyPass became Piano, and then Piano went out of business. So.
And Piano went out of business. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think they went out of business. I don't think they went out of business.
Really, some publishers told me that. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe they're just not. They're not handling publishers, but that are smaller than a certain size.
So I see. Okay.
You're a hyper local. They're not going to do. I just know I run a forum for local publishers called Free Range Publishers Group, a Facebook forum, and a few people who use Piano were complaining that they won't be able to use it anymore. So gotcha. I think that's probably why.
Okay.
I think that's. This is just the Memberful website, just so you can see. This is Paid Memberships Pro. I think that's it. Any other questions? It's
your friend who's doing that WordPress segment down in Philly. What day is he doing it? Do you know?
So that's a WordCamp Philadelphia. I'm a co-organizer of WordCamp Philly. It's an annual conference for people who want to learn more about WordPress, and that's going to be at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts on Broad Street on October 5th. And it's it's a pretty cheap training. I'm not sure what our registration fee is this year, so I want to say $30. It could be $25, but
$25.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So you get a full day of workshops plus lunch and networking, and there's an after party, and you get to hear a lot of great talks. And if for some reason you can't make it, if you go to everything's posted later on WordPress TV. So.
What do you mean? Wait, you have to pay the fee to be able to see it, or you don't?
If you want to go, you have to pay the fee to go to the conference itself in Philadelphia for the day. You can pay online. Did you post a link in the chat, Joe?
I was there a couple years ago, but I'll tell you the truth. Like there wasn't much I could use, so I haven't been back. But it's just one day now, because before I think it was like a day and a half.
Well, the second day is Contributors Day, where people volunteer and work on projects, but most people don't go to that second day.
Okay.
So now this is Philly. So I don't know. I think we've changed our format where we always try to have a beginner non-coder track, and then we have an intermediate level and a developer's level. So we have 3 tracks to try to cater to different needs. But again, if you can't make it or you don't feel like it's worth it for you to go for the day, I would say within a month of the conference, all the talks are posted online.
Okay.
WordPress.tv. And then now WordCamp New York City is this coming weekend, actually, Saturday and Sunday. That's $50 for 2 days of training. And so you might want to Google, WordCamp New York City 2019 and see if any of the workshops there interest you.
Okay.
Again, those will all be posted. I like it for the community, and all WordCamps have what's called a happiness bar, which actually last year I was volunteering in New York, and some guy came up to us and said, where's the bar? I'm ready for a gin and tonic. And we were like, dude, it's not a real bar. It's a help desk. It's called the happiness bar because people leave very happy because their problems are solved. That's how I got involved in the WordPress community. I went to WordCamp Philly not knowing anything about WordPress, but my freelance developer couldn't help me fix a problem. She said, I can't get to it for 6 weeks. So I went to this WordCamp Philly just to go to the happiness bar. I said, I'm going to go and then I'm going to leave and go home. I went and I said, oh, this is actually pretty cool. These are great workshops. The person helped me with my problem and said, hey, you can learn WordPress. Anyone can do it. We're all here to help you. So it's a huge community. So it might be worth it if you have like a specific problem to go to the WordPress conference and go to the happiness bar and get some advice there. And I think there are sessions for everyone, even if it's only a few that apply to you for $25 or $50. To me, that's a real bargain. Plus lunch and party afterward. Like the networking is just as valuable as the sessions are.
Right. Okay. Good point.
That's my plug for WordCamp. There are also WordPress meetups, and in Philly and in New York City, a lot of nights it's called Help Desk Night, where all they do is help people solve their WordPress problems. So very helpful, generous community.
Great.
It's 1:22. Any last questions before we wrap up?
No, thank you.
All righty. Well, thank you, Krystal, and thank you, everybody who joined us. Like I said, we're going to post the recording, the notes, everything, the transcripts, the slides, all that stuff within the next couple days. And so keep an eye out for that. I'll send them to any attendee, anybody who registered, to be honest, because we had 20 people sign up for this.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, thank you again, Krystal. Really appreciate it. If it wasn't going to be an audio issue, I'd clap for you right now, but it was great. I learned a bunch, and I will be in touch with those of you who expressed interest in the SEO webinar with our guy, Marty Halo. We'll see if he's available to do something like that in the near future.
Great. Will I see you at ONA, Joe? Are you coming to New
No,
Orleans?
I believe Stephanie is going to be at ONA. I am not about to bring my ass to New Orleans as long as the summer is still kicking. So, all righty. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see. Stay tuned. Go to centerforcooperativemedia.org/training if you want to see our next couple events. And Krystal, how can they get in touch with you?
Krystal@planetprinceton.com, and I'll send that bit.ly link with all my contact info. And Kimmy, I'll reach out when I get back from the conference to set up a time for a phone call with you. So think about like what you like within like an hour phone call, like what issues you'd like to help for me to help you with.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
I think Kevin Coughlin is also on the call, and I don't.
Oh, is Kevin on the call?
Yeah, he's listening in, I believe, but I think he did all three as well. Is anybody else on this webinar here who did all three of Krystal's sessions? If so, reach out to her. She's offered a free consulting session for those who did all three sessions. Okay. All right. I think barring any other announcements and stuff, I think we're ready to go.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a trooper, Kimmy, and listening to all three.
It was great. Thanks so much.